Hello, this is Azrael. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I've been having a lot going on in my life right now, very busy. So I'm going to have to be putting videos together, doing videos as I can, then putting them together, so you're going to see me in different areas and whatnot. But in this video, we're going to be talking about tools used to help perform necromancy in contacting spirits, from flowers, stones, and whatnot, and incense. But to make a quick little thing, first of all, you're going to need a box. I've chosen this box because, well, it brings in the energies of death, has a serpent, and serpents are also sacred to Hecate or Hecate, and she is the goddess of necromancy. Anyway, stones. First, regardless of what you're doing, always have a crystal quartz. I don't have to show you that because I'm sure all of you know what a crystal quartz is. If not, you can Google it. I don't have it in this box at the moment. And an amethyst, especially when you're using, which is helps. Quartz, crystal quartz helps amplify all vibrations. And a amethyst quartz helps always amplify spiritual and mental connections, or vibrations. Okay, so when you're doing magic, that's basically all you're doing. You're wanting to amplify power, and you're also wanting to increase your psychic sensitivity, and for the most part, especially contacting spirits. So these two stones are always a must. Now, other stones. Any black stone. Now, not all black stones are associated with Saturn, but the color black is associated with Saturn. Saturn, again, being the planet that influences necromancy, and Saturday being influenced by Saturn is the day of necromancy. Okay. So, that being said, even if the stone is not associated with Saturn, because it is black, which is associated with Saturn, can be used in necromancy. So, one of my favorites is shungite. Now this looks like a piece of coal almost. This is rough shungite. It was not polished, but even though it is not coal, it does share something in common with coal. It's made of carbon, okay, but it's not coal. Shungite is usually found in like Russia. It's black. It has very strong, powerful protective and curative properties too. But again, this is a very, very powerful stone, and very black too, as you can see. And I use this quite often in will be using this quite often in necromantic rites. Another stone we have. It's so filled with carbon, people actually put shungite in water for a couple of days and swish it around because of the carbon content in shungite helps purify the water. Anyway, this one is associated with Saturn, and it is black. You know this as an onyx stones. Oh, and if I didn't tell you, the box that you will be choosing, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so the box that you will be choosing will be used in the ritual as a shrine to house the spirit you summon, okay? And give it a place to stay or reside if you want it to, which is much like a, you're going to be, basically, it's going to be a shrine in a box, so these things will be in the box to help amplify, which we'll get into that later. Another stone that I like is the Apache's Tear. Okay, again, it's black. I think Apache, I can't remember if Apache's Tear is associated with Saturn. I believe it is. I could be wrong, pulling off memory. But either way, Apache's Tear, black. And even if it wasn't, it's still black stones. And all black stones can be used in necromancy. You just get an extra punch if it's also associated with Saturn. So, yeah. Anyway, the Apache's Tear, some of the mythos on that is that the Indian warriors, Apache warriors, that were slain and killed in battle, their women cried so hard for their loss since the connection with necromancy is the backstory. We're pulling off some of the vibrations from the backstory. Obviously, you know, this is mythology, but mythology is basically a link and a channel for energy to manifest for the object, because it literally funnels those vibrations into it. So anyways, they cried so hard that their tears became those rocks. So you're also going to be, if you use Apache's tear, you're also going to need to be pulling in some of that mythology, especially if the person you're trying to summon is a Native American. Does not necessarily have to be Apache, okay? But just a Native American spirit are very receptive with Apache's tears, okay? Because of the mythology. Now, other things which I don't. Oh, the wand that I would use is this. It's made completely out of selenite. You don't have to have a wand for necromancy, but if you're moving energies, like if you don't have your shrine to death or necromancy, and you don't have the shrine to your ancestors connected, you're pulling, like for example, my mom did not like skulls too much, which I won't be using this box for her, for example. I'm not going to have any skulls on that, but we'll have, so it's kind of hard to put images of death with a woman that actually hated any images of death. So the best way to do that is to keep them separate and move the energies, which I'll talk about that later. Anyway, some of the herbs, tobacco, for example. Tobacco is a very good offering to spirits, not just spirits of the dead. Even if you don't smoke, and the person you're trying to contact does not smoke, that is irrelevant. It is the energies that it gives off that will help feed the spirit. The context of what tobacco can do was perverted by us smoking it. You know, it's not supposed to be a poison in the body. It's just a plant, and it has certain vibrations. You could use tobacco to stuff poppets or stuff hollow skulls, toy skulls, you know, as offerings. Okay, even if the person who you try to contact hated cigarettes, in the end, that has nothing to do with smoking the cigarettes. However, you can also burn it as an incense if you're not too scared to breathe it in. Sugar, of course. Heavily pulling from the South American traditions of sugar skulls. If you don't have a sugar skull, you could easily draw a skull on a sugar cube, or you could use sugar water. Okay, but in my case, I have a lot of little vessels that shapes like skulls, so I might put sugar water in there to shape the skull, and leave that as the offering. Any case, marigold. Marigold is a flower that is heavily associated with the dead, and in European traditions, way back in the day, especially when people would move locations, they would leave a trail of marigold flowers, which are also edible. So you could also bake them in cakes for human consumption as well as spirit offerings. But marigold flowers were often, a trail of marigold flowers were left from the grave of the deceased, and the person would walk all the way home, leaving a trail, so the spirit could find its way home. Especially if you moved to a new location. This is, you know, obviously you don't need to do that. This is a very poetic tradition, and I love it, and it's heavily associated with the dead. So yeah, it's a good thing to use. Because, you know, anyway, if you call a spirit, or even if a spirit wants to visit you, it's a mental connection. They don't need to have a trail, but yeah. Anyways, take it as it will. Other things would now. I'll be talking about, because I already did a video on some stuff that you can get from graveyards and so forth. You can get sand from the forest that has a significance for being on the other side or otherworldly, not a part of your city life. You're pulling in energies from something that is not a part of your daily life. You can sand from the beach. You can also get from not just graveyard dirt. There is a strong belief in a lot of folk traditions that you know, you don't want to have salt on your altars for these kind of rites. Salt is a preservative, and that's one reason why most necromancy does not follow with salt. You know, however, salt is there to you can use it as a protection for you, but probably not on the altar. But I don't really put a lot of stock in that belief, because I firmly believe in ghost ships. I believe people have seen sunken ships out on the ocean, and that is almost nothing but salt and water. So, but in any case, the beach sand I have discovered is very, very, very potent, because again, it's also not a place in most people's daily lives, and even if it is, it's still an in-between. Just like a crossroads is an in-between, the beach is an in-between between the ocean and you know, dry land, and the in-betweens is what you're going to also be using. Okay, frankincense, myrrh, cinnamon, these are very powerful herbs for building energy, and which is something you're going to be needing. So you understand something, which is probably what it's going to be in a video of its own, but yeah, I'll just leave that as a video of its own. All right. Again, don't know if this is going to be in the middle or at the beginning of a video. So, well, thanks for watching. Anyway, and you take care.